Huge Fake Bear Conspiracy. Ja, habe ich auch schon gesehen. Bestimmte Bärenart, die wohl so aussieht, die so beschrieben wird, es sieht aus, als wäre ein Mensch in einem Bärenkostüm, weil die so weird sind.
There's a fascinating controversy brewing right now around whether or not a sun bear in a zoo in China is actually a real creature or a man in a bear costume. I'll go ahead and let you form your own opinion here, because that's the beauty of being
Das hier sieht übelst aus wie ein Mensch. Das auch. Weird.
an individual with your own thoughts.
Dieser faltige Arsch.
Let your eyes tell you the story before I give you the real story and hit you with the cold water of the truth. So, you can see that the creature is a bit odd. It looks like something out of Spore. By far the weirdest part about it is the bear's ass. It looks like a Krabby Patty. It actually looks like Homer Simpson's lips. So this is the video that popped off. You can see him standing up, kind of sizing up the crowd, looking at everybody like he's about to go shake them down for their lunch money here. He's looking kind of menacing. He's got his mouth open, but he also just looks super sweet. Even gives like a little wave with its flippers, because it doesn't even really look like it has paws. It has like these tiny little fucking flipper things. It's adorable. Like, seeing the video, I think, makes it a little more clear that it's probably not a man in a bear costume. It's just a really weird bear. So when I first saw this story, I actually thought this was an older case, because I do remember something like this happening about a year ago, but it turns out that was just for a comedy sketch. That wasn't a real thing. This is pretty new from what I can tell, where people really thought that it was a man in a bear costume, myself included. Those pictures really do look like something that you'd find at like a furry convention, like some kind of costume somebody made. It doesn't look like a real animal. It's got more loose skin than like my elbow. Like it is a wild.
Aber es sah im Laufen jetzt, also als er normal gestanden hat, komplett okay aus. Dass das Falten wirft, wenn er so gerade steht, ist ein bisschen verständlich. Das sieht man wahrscheinlich bei normalen Bären nicht, weil das Fell ein bisschen dichter ist. Der hat ja so ein glattes, anliegendes Fell.
Creature. Apparently sun bears are just the smallest bear species, so when it's standing up, it looks like just like a person. It's not, you know, some kind of hulking bear that you're used to seeing. Like, this looks like some shit out of the Berenstein Bears, right? Like, it doesn't seem like a real bear. So when I saw this, I was like, it's a cut and dry case of a man in a bear costume. This must have been a joke. But it turns out, no, this is like actually what sun bears look like and how they act. So I'm going to go ahead and play you the stream clips where I tackled this case head on, and I learned a lot about sun bears. You hear about the Chinese zoo denying the claim that one of their bears is a man in a bear costume? That's not a new story. I remember that from like a year ago. Because I've definitely seen this before. And I think it's pretty obvious that this is a man in a bear costume. Like, this is like Hank Hill level ass. Shit looks like a pack of hot dogs. No bear has a tuchus like this. That's definitely a man in a bear costume. Apparently sun bears look like that. What the fuck is a sun bear? Sounds like some kind of mythical creature out of Dark Souls. Maybe a sun bear costume. Well, okay. Because it looks like they do pack the same ass. Shit's out here looking like grill marks. It's just the same guy. There's no such thing as a sun bear. It's just a couple of guys that have a costume, and it fooled the zoologists into thinking it was a real animal. They got weird tongues. Weird, well, really weird everything. But I don't know, even still, this face doesn't look natural. I mean, we just looked at its tongue, and the tongue, like, was, like, hanging way out to here, basically. I don't know. I'm not convinced. This is convincing. This angle. Why would they lie? I don't know. Just to see if they could, I guess. Sun bears, the smallest bear species in the world, are generally the size of a large dog. Oh, wow.
Echt nicht groß.
Help protect the bears from predators as the looseness allows the bear to turn around in their skin and fight back.
Oh.
If a large animal like a tiger were to get a hold of them. You're telling me there's an evolutionary purpose to all these fucking ass folds? That's wild.
Die eigenen
He's
Haut
got like
komplett umdrehen.
sea lion flippers.
Oh, das wäre auch creepy für irgendeinen Film oder eine Serie, wenn irgendjemand gegen irgendjemand Hand zu Hand kämpft und alles Mögliche, hält ihn fest, hier irgendwo und dann dreht der Typ sich in der Haut um und haut dir in die Fresse. Holy shit.
Like it's like the most incomprehensibly smart thing ever, but at the same time super fucking stupid with the solutions that it finds. How are we gonna protect us? Just give it a lot of ass skins. That way if something bites our ass, we can move around a little bit. What about horseshoe crabs? There's so many fucking creatures out there that have just been condemned, forsaken by evolution. Like what's the actual name of the blobfish? It's a really embarrassing species. But the reason it looks so gross and looks like a goofy face when you bring it up to the surface is because it literally implodes. So like as you take it out from its like high pressure environment, it just implodes. But that one's pretty embarrassing. Evolution did it dirty. A lot of sea creatures are like that. There's one that's called the pinnacle of evolution, the perfect species, because it hasn't evolved for like actually 20 million years or something crazy. It's the
Die Krabben?
what is it? The something worm? Hagfish, not a worm. Hagfish, yeah. This thing. And not because it's like perfect, like you're not about to see handsome Squidward or anything. The reason it hasn't evolved is because it just literally doesn't need to. It found the perfect solution for its environment. So this is the hagfish. And what it does is it's just this gross looking little worm thing that when it's either threatened or anything like that, it just excretes really, really thick slime. Super slimes. It just
Creepy as fuck.
Nickelodeon slime times whatever's after it, and it clogs up its mouth and it kills whatever attacked it. The slime gets clogged up like in their gills and everything, and they die. It's not worth killing, and it's such a fucking hassle, and it's actually really adept at surviving, all because it can super slime. Got a little sidetracked with hagfish once again, as is known to happen. Hagfish are a remarkable species of bewilderment.
Das Bild auf der rechten Seite, das muss sich niemand antun. Holy shit.
But back on the topic of sun bears. So, it is a real sun bear from everything I can tell. You know, of course, you know, I'm not a fucking zoologist here. I can't say beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's a sun bear for sure and not a man in a bear costume. But based on everything that I
Wir hatten das doch erst in Deutschland mit, ist das ein Schwein oder ist das ein Löwe?
read and everything I researched, it's most likely a real sun bear. But I really love to suspend disbelief for a moment here and play with the idea that it's actually a man in a bear costume. What would be the goal? Let's start looking at this in a philosophical way and start speculating. If it is a man in a bear costume, or if it was a man in a bear costume, what could they possibly gain from that? Well, I've been racking my brain on it. So let's picture a dystopia where most animals are extinct, right? We're losing tons of animals all the time. There's a lot of species that are on the brink of the extinction. So let's just toy with the idea that all of them go extinct. Like that famous streamer clip, you know? The government's lying to us, the aliens aren't talking to us, the animals are leaving. All the animals leave, right? So now we've got nothing left. That's very bad for business at zoos. So, what if they spent a lot of resources and a lot of time developing very convincing costumes that look realistic enough to fool us into thinking we're looking at the legitimate species. So when there's no animals left, they can still fill zoo exhibits with, you know, people in costumes that'll work part-time when
Alle Tiere, die ausgestorben sind, werden humanoid.
zoos open, and then, you know, go home. They'll clock in, clock out in their costume, right? So it's species you're used to seeing in zoos, bears, giraffes, and all of that, and the costumes are really convincing, and maybe there's animatronic components to it, and this was their first attempt at trying to slip it in there to see if they were at a point where they could fool us with the costume. I don't think that's the case, but what if? What if it was? This was their first foray into like a alpha test, you know, seeing if the prototype's good enough to get people speculating on if it's a real bear or not, or if it's convincing enough that everyone assumes it's just a real sun bear. You know, It's just an interesting thought experiment. What could be the goal if it is a man in a bear costume? And that's the only conclusion I can come up with. Of course, it is not a man in a bear costume. It is most likely a very real sun bear. But who knows? You can't trust anyone, not even bears. So, yeah.
Vor allem nicht den fucking Chinese.
I just thought this was a fun little topic to go over briefly. That's really about it.